Yes, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Pete, you ready? Okay, thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the February 17th, 2022 City Council meeting. Roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns?
Here.
Figgy?
Here.
Flaherty?
Here.
Harris?
Here.
Matthews Kane?
Here.
Mello?
Here.
Morganelli?
Here.
Oniski?
Here.
Sullivan?
Here.
Adams?
Here.
Alley?
Here.
Bean?
Here.
Beltrandi?
Here.
Thank you. All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands
one nation
under God,
Indivisible,
and justice for all.
Thank you. Reading of the record, Councilor Beltrandi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to accept the reading of the record of the meeting of February 3rd, 2022 as submitted.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns?
Yes.
Figgy?
Yes.
Flaherty?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Matthews Kane?
Yes.
Mello?
Yeah.
Morganelli?
Yes.
Oniski?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Alley?
Yes.
Bean?
Yes.
Beltrandi?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public participation. Public participation has got a 15-minute maximum time limit total with 3 minutes max per person, either of which could be extended by a vote of City Council. So someone would need to make the motion to extend either a person's time or the 15 minutes. And the moderator will bring each person into the room one at a time. So for those out there, if you could raise your hand electronically, if you'd like to talk, then we'll get you in. So the one thing that we won't speak on is the public hearing on Arnold Street during public participation, because there will be public speak during that period of time. So we were going to avoid that one. So I'm going to ask again if there's anyone in the public like to speak. So Kathleen Hillman, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is
name and address, please.
Yep, coming up. My name is Kathleen Hillman. I'm at 179 Susan Drive. And I would like to make sure that all committee meetings are being recorded, because now that I am on school committee, I can't see other meetings that are scheduled at the same time. So I'm requesting that all meetings be recorded and with captions, so everybody can see the meetings at their own leisure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Mark Dupuis.
Testing. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Name and address, please, Mark.
Mark Steve, Congress Street in Boston. Thank you very much. I'm here to speak today on behalf of Richter Extracts and Richter Cannabis Host Community Agreements. I just wanted to touch a couple points. I'll try to keep it brief to 3 minutes. First, I just wanted to thank everybody for their time and taking time out of their day. I know it can be hard, especially on a Friday. I wanted to thank Mr. Humison. I don't know if he's here, but he put the agreement forward. Peter Miller, he also worked on that. So I appreciate their time that they put on both of the agreements. I wanted to thank the Lyons family. They're the owners of the property, 69 Neck Road. They have been excellent landlords. I look up to all of them. They do great business. I thank them. I also wanted to just thank everybody that lives on the Neck Road area. They've been great while I've run my hemp farm. Let's see. I'm excited to bring both of these companies to Westfield. It will create many, many careers, not just jobs, careers for people who aren't college educated and don't have an opportunity to careers. We're going to be part of a national company, hopefully. That's the goal. I created Richter. That's my brand. I did the trademark, so I own Richter under Richter Extracts. These projects will be great for the economy. You guys have seen it firsthand. The contractors, it's tremendous. These old properties, they become like new. Some of them are almost landmarks in the town now. These are real projects. They're happening. The cannabis business is a stable industry, much more stable than many that have come and gone. It will create a lot of tax revenue. I can't really add all the different ways, but one thing I'm excited to bring would be the delivery. I don't know if anybody realizes, but my plan would be to deliver outside of Westfield to areas like Boston and more congested areas. This would actually bring a whole new revenue for the city from outside off of the 3% from the host community agreements. The most important thing I wanted to touch on this evening is social equity. I sent you all an email explaining the social equity program. And I just wanted to read a brief explanation. The program was
Mr.
created.
Dupuy, could you make it quick? You're up on your 3 minutes at this point.
I'd like an extension then, please.
Is there a motion?
Is that acceptable?
Motion to extend for 1 additional minute.
Second. Okay.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Dupuy.
The social equity program was created by the state of Mass to help a sustainable pathway for individuals most impacted by the war on drugs. This includes marijuana arrests, incarceration, and prohibition. So far to date, there are 0 social equity operators in Westfield. I feel that there are many people probably that feel left out of the industry. It's one of my goals to create help of system for people also to join the industry in this position. And I will do whatever I can to provide support, to offer discounts to them so they can be competitive in their area with people who aren't social equity operators. I thank you all for your time. Please, I'm asking Mr. Burns and Mr. Adams to reconsider the negative recommendation that you have put forward because I don't believe you are aware of the social equity applications. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dupuy. Mr. Blatchek, can you please come in?
Chairman Oniski, can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you. Can we get
Okay.
name and address for the record, please?
Absolutely. John Blashjack, Valley View Drive, Westfield, Mass, sir.
Thank you. Floor is yours.
Good evening. I serve as a president of the Westfield Patrol Officers Coalition. I have been a Westfield police officer for over 25 years, and I'm a lifelong resident of Westfield, along with many of my family members. When I first became a police officer, like many other officers, I would tell people that I proudly served the city of Westfield as a police officer. Now, I hope that no one asks me about my occupation because I fear how they will react when they find out that I am a police officer. Sadly, policing in America is at a breaking point. Recruitment and retention of our fellow officers is down across the country. Officers are leaving at an alarming rate, and we are experiencing a significant decline in quality applicants. Those officers that remain, God bless them, are hoping that they do not end up on the evening news for just doing their job. And as always, we are the first ones people call in an emergency and the first to be critiqued. Even when police do the right thing, we are used as a punching bag. The Westfield Police is not immune from this problem. Counselors and citizens have stated to me and other members of the Westfield Police Department that they would not do our job for what we are paid. Yes, I just said that. They would not do our job for the amount of money we are paid. Now they are opposed to our contract that would increase our pay for doing our job. Currently, it costs a new officer hired by the city of Westfield $13,000 to work for our city. Officers have to pay for their own mandated police academy and all of their gear required by the police academy. If these officers don't have a support system, the position is not achievable. Westfield police officers are fortunate that we work in a city that the vast majority of the residents still support police and value what we do on a daily basis. Westfield is a safe city and a desirable place to live and run a business. This identification is not by accident. We work tirelessly 24 hours a day and 7 days a week to enforce the laws and serve the community. Policing in America has come a long way since its inception in 1838. The days of heavy-handed tactics that you heard about from your parents or grandparents is a thing of the past. Police officers must be well-versed in all aspects of the law and equipped with the 21st century skills that are beyond a traditional police academy. A college-educated police officer is less likely to use excessive force, unjustified deadly force, receives less citizens' complaints, and is less likely to face disciplinary action. They're also involved in less traffic accidents and are more efficient in solving crimes. What does this mean for the citizens of Westfield? Less lawsuits that can cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. It is estimated that over the past 10 years, $3 billion have been paid out in lawsuits against police officers. Westfield police officers are held to exceedingly high standards beyond any city employee. Our rules and regulations are 34 pages and cover an officer 24/7, 365 days a year. A Westfield police officer falls under this on duty as well as off duty. We are the only employees that have to alter our lives to serve others. As a president of the Westfield Patrol Officers Coalition, I ask you to support our contract that is before you and support the men and women of the Westfield Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, officer, and thank you for all the work you do. It's appreciated.
Second.
Next up is B. Lyons.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. If you could state your name and address for the record, and then go ahead with it.
Can you hear that?
Yep, we hear you just fine.
So my name is Ben Lyons. I manage 69 Neck Road for my family, who's owned the property for over 40 years, and my family and immediate brothers and parents were residents of Westfield for 20 years. I want to touch on what Mark Dupuis said in his presentation. We've worked with Mark for over 2.5 years, and he's been great to work with, respectful, attentive. He does what he says. He pays on time. I know Mark has put a lot of time, money, and effort into making this successful, both in the hemp and the cannabis, and trying to get to the point where we're at right now. And we've worked with him very closely throughout that, talking bi-weekly. And he's been very helpful in helping us manage the property as well and being our eyes and ears on the ground. We look forward to working with him and hope you look favorably on his proposals. One other note I will say is before Mark came in and we were starting the leasing process, what we've learned is this use is most likely the highest and best use for the property, given its prior use as a concrete manufacturing plant, and its hard to be adaptive to anything else, but cannabis is one that it can, given its bifurcation, different segments within the building. So I feel like this is the highest and best use, and hope that you guys consider Mark's proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for public participation? If you do, please raise your hand in Zoom. Okay, I am seeing none. So, okay, thank you very much. So could I have a motion to close public participation, please?
Motion to close public participation.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean.
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Communications from the mayor. Item 1, Councilor Figgy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please have Madam City Clerk read item 1, refer to L&O and legal.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Would you like to read it first, and then we'll go from there, Madam City Clerk?
1 is submitting an order of taking of easements at 113 City View Road and 112 City View Road.
Okay. Discussion. Seeing none, roll call to send to L&O.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Reports of city officers. There are none, right, Madam City Clerk?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Reports of
Okay.
city officers.
Yeah, no, there are none, sorry. It's on the
Okay,
next one.
no, that's fine. Thank you. Next item, petitions, remonstrances, and other papers. Item 2, this is a public hearing. We received an email from Neil Phillips of Smales LLC that reads, Madam Clerk, please withdraw our zone change petition for the captioned property, and the captioned property is proposed zoning map 54 Washington Street and 45 Washington Street. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to allow the applicant to withdraw without prejudice. Any discussion?
We gotta get a motion, right?
Make a motion to withdraw without prejudice.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Reports of committees. Item 3, Councilor Bean.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee has met, and on a vote of 2-1 to not approve the Westfield Police Officers Coalition contract dated July 1, 2022 through June 2025. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Bean.
Yeah, this, for obvious reasons, this is a very difficult vote for me. I'll speak for myself and only myself because it did come out of finance as a 2-to-1 vote. This is a difficult vote. As a finance member, our authority, even as a council member, our authority is really just to look at the end number here and how it works within the budget moving forward. Although we did talk about certain segments of the contract and some segments people liked and didn't like, our authority really lies on the end number. We do not get into negotiations. We do not sit at the table at negotiations. We are simply, the final hurdle for something to be approved or not approved. Again, speaking for myself, I just believe this end number for the contract is something that's really not sustainable within our budget. It would start for FY23. I know there's other comments and discussion on this, but what I will say is that when we raise taxes to the 2.5% plus our new growth, that's about $2.5 million, give or take, and apologize for the round numbers. But what we're in the middle of and what we discussed over finance for the last month and in a couple of meetings is that, what does that really leave us in the grand scheme of things when it comes to negotiations moving forward, and also what other costs we have out there within the city that we see rising as a whole. When you get to the $2.4 million, you take away, the PURAC piece, as well as health insurance increases. You're left with about $1.4 million. Now, I will say this is the first contract we're seeing. And so that means that there's 12 more unions to negotiate with, first and foremost. And then we also have other costs that have risen throughout the years, like energy, for an example, that we are going to have to pay. So, and that doesn't leave us much money. Now, I know people are looking at stabilization. I know they're looking at free cash. Again, my opinion, those monies are for one-time costs. They're not for recurring costs. And I think we would put ourselves in real trouble if we started using those kind of monies to be factored in as recurring costs. I just feel that this is going to put the department at serious risk. And I'm afraid that when it comes down to budget time, that we would be cutting personnel and whatever else we could get our hands on to get to a number that makes sense. The Commonwealth has strict rules. We only can raise taxes a certain percentage, and that it is what it is. So with that being said, again, it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to not support. I think it's the first time I've done this in 20 years. So that being said, I just open up the floor for other comments.
Councilor Matthews-Kane.
Thank you, Mr. President. As one of the other members of finance, I wanted to echo many of Councilor Bean's points. This was also a very difficult vote for me, and I'd just like to speak about the reasons behind my decision. I was guided in large part by two legal findings I had read on authority and responsibility. The first was a memo written by our city's labor attorney regarding authority. In his memo, he writes, quote, "In response to your inquiry regarding the authority of the council to reject the proposed collective bargaining agreement, please be advised that the city council has the power. General Law, Chapter 150E, Section 7 requires city council approval for all proposed CBA cost items." And then he gives the ruling that came from. Upon ratification of the union and signature by the parties, the city council as the legislative body has sole authority to vote to accept or reject the proposed collective bargaining agreement, unquote. And I think this quote is pretty self-explanatory. The second guide I relied on was a legal finding regarding responsibility written by the Massachusetts Office of the Inspector General entitled Leadership Failures in Methuen Police Contracts. I do want to acknowledge that the situation that this paper deals with from Methuen was of a very different order than what we are dealing with here. However, the comments the OIG made about the process the negotiations went through would hold true for any contract negotiation across the state. The OIG found that, quote, the former mayor and current city councilors violated the duties of care and due diligence that they owe as elected officials to the residents of Methuen by negotiating and approving the superior's contract, either without understanding the financial impact of the contract or by understanding the financial impact and approving it anyway, unquote. The key words for me in that quotation are financial impact. It's my interpretation that the Office of the Inspector General is signaling to councils across the Commonwealth that they must take this factor into consideration when approving these contracts. So like Councilor Bean, I was very focused on the financial impact of this contract. And my finding is that this contract costs too much for us to approve. I am not looking under the hood, so to speak, and arguing that one or another part of the contract is a good idea. I'm simply saying I don't think the city can afford the totality of the contract. The contract will cost us $299,720 in fiscal year 23 alone. This is a large increase in the total police budget from the previous year. In Finance Committee, I asked if this $299,000 included the 2 anticipated new hires for the police. I should have asked a more nuanced question about what parts of the new hires are included. While this $299,000 increase does include the 2 new police officers, it only includes their raises from the new contract. It does not include their base salaries, which would be an additional $130,000 for the first year, further increasing the police budget. This contract will continue to increase costs in fiscal years 24 and 25. Based on these reasons, I just cannot vote to approve the contract. In closing, I want to acknowledge that police officers do a difficult and dangerous job, and I'm grateful for their service to the city and support their efforts in pursuing a new contract. I'm hopeful that if council does indeed vote this down, we can still move forward and come to an agreement that works for the entire city. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Mello.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're looking at this contract coming up on my 3rd municipal budget season. And when we get to municipal budget season, I hear a lot about how the budget is set because you already approved the contracts. And so when this came up in front of us, I paid a lot of attention to it because I was very concerned with how the numbers would end up working out in June. And I sent Chair Matthews King quite a few questions, and thank you very much for working with me on my understanding. But I'm very concerned about the contracts being created before the budget was considered. And I believe that the Finance Committee has looked at these numbers, and I believe that they are correct. And I am supportive of education. I am supportive of well-rounded city employees. I am supportive of our law enforcement officers and the work they do and the families that support them, including my own for a time. I do not believe that we can support this. I don't believe that our residents can afford this. I believe that when the wastewater treatment department needed help, they came to us and we made them justify every single penny that anyone would pay. And I don't think we can turn around to the taxpayers and say, we're going to ask you for $300,000 without doing the budget for the rest of the city. And so I don't understand any of the rest of the context or any of the longstanding arguments or what it looks like to stare down negotiation for 10 plus separate unions. I can't even. But what I do know is that if we don't have the whole picture of the whole budget in mind when these contracts are negotiated, it's not going to be fair for the taxpayers. And I'm sorry, I cannot support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Flaherty and then Councilor Alley.
Yes, thank you. And I'm going to agree 100% with Councilors Bean and Matthews Kane, and mostly with Councilor Mello too, which is really a surprise to, Councilor Bean and I have talked about these things many times in the past, and we're sometimes on different sides of the table, but he nailed it here. And so did Councilor Matthews Kane. Those cases that she referred to are critically important, to understanding our role when it comes to approving these contracts. Finances are what we should be looking at. And we clearly have the power to approve or deny. We do not have to accept whatever the mayor negotiates during his part of the process. That's only the first part of the process. We're the approving body. Just like on the union side, they have to take it back to their members and get approval. It's a multi-step process for both sides. And we should not be just rubber stamping whatever the mayor negotiates. In this case, I think the mayor clearly did not understand the finances, because if they had, we would have been able to get the finances right away when this thing was submitted to us. Instead, the finance committee had to go digging. I had to go digging. The police union representatives had to go digging and make up their own numbers to try to come to some consolidated number that everybody thought was accurate. It clearly wasn't done ahead of time when this was being negotiated. And that really bothers me. Part of negotiation is to have a good understanding of what you're giving away and promising, and what the benefits might be for both parties. And that clearly didn't happen here. And I'm very disappointed about that, because two of the people that were involved in negotiations have it as part of their job descriptions that we approved to follow the finances and provide the finances for us. And that just wasn't done here. I tend to agree that the $300,000 number is right for the first year, but there are some other costs in there that are going to influence our budgets in the future. And the example that I talked about earlier to a couple of people is the step 9 thing. It's one little line item in there, but going to step 9 at year 22 instead of 25, that's worth over $10,000 per employee that goes through the step process. So every single police officer that we have in the city from today going forward, that's step 8 or below, is going to get an extra $10,000. And if they have a college degree, that could bring them up near $13,500, $14,000 just for that one little line item. So I think we need to understand these costs before we approve it. I also don't think we're denying this contract. We're not saying no, we're sending it back for renegotiation, and that's a softer way of doing it. We have a new mayor who's responsible for this. He also happens to be an expert in the police department and police budgeting. So I think it's appropriate to give him the time to negotiate. He's going to be, in the hot seat for figuring out how to pay for all this, and he should be given the opportunity. My numbers jive with Councilor Bean's numbers too on how much available money we have in the city. I've done a 3-year forecast of revenues based on what I see in Prop 2.5, and it's mathematically very easy to figure out because you take last year's number plus 2.5% plus new growth. It's a pretty simple calculation. We have state aid already given to us this year. The cherry sheet was released a few weeks ago. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it's usually pretty darn close. And we know what our local receipts are. So it's pretty easy to calculate the total revenue in the city. I see it as 2.7 million more than last year, but that we have a mandatory increase of PARAC of 588,000 and estimated healthcare increases of about 800,000. That's going to leave us with $1.35 million that we can spend that we couldn't spend last year across the entire city. That's a tiny fraction of our $91 million payroll. If you take our $91 million payroll and say, okay, how do we give out $1.3 million in raises? It's about 1.5% across the entire city if we want to give the same amount of money to everybody and spend every dollar we have. So to give one department a 3.5% plus maybe a little bit more is going to put pressure on other departments. So I'm going to be no, I guess I'm going to be a yes to agree, but to send this back for negotiation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Alley.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, yep, I'm not muted. So, and I agree with what the councils have said. The city is facing many financial obligations, commitments, and settlements, including building a new police station, dams and levees, a new school, and roads. The city also bears the responsibility to cover the Quinn bill. When the state put that back on the city, I think the first year alone was about $700,000. Our citizens and our small businesses have had 2 years of a pandemic. And when it comes to paying for things, you know, the working families, the seniors on fixed incomes, all of this has affected jobs and income. They've had to endure increased property values and property taxes, water and sewer fees. We're now faced with some of the highest inflation that any of us have ever seen due to excessive government spending and a printing of money, which is just devaluating our currency. This city needs to get its financial house in order. Citizens pay a good amount of tax and deserve to receive the services that they're paying for. The Westfield drivers pay about $5 million in vehicle excise tax every year, but these funds are not being put into the highway budget. If that was combined with our Chapter 90 money, we'd have the $6.7 million to fix our roads, but that's not how the finances are being handled. There's post-employment benefits. We've just got a lot of serious obligations that we have to address. And I agree that we have to look at all of these things. We're a community. And we've got to pull together, you know, we're building, you know, maybe 11 houses a year, 17 houses a year. That's not a lot. And a lot of things are mandated. There's unfunded mandates and stuff. We've got to take the total amount of figures that we're dealing with and make this work without taxing ourselves. You know, no one's ever taxed themselves into prosperity. We need our citizens and small businesses to get back on their feet. This has been a rough 2 years. You know, the federal and state governments may be throwing money around, but it's our kids that are paying for this, and we're paying it now because it's a big part of what's causing this inflation, which is going to have serious ramifications throughout the entire economy. So we've got to use our head and budget wisely. So I think the Westfield, I know we're all very supportive of the police and what our employees do. We would back you guys up, you know, on any issue, okay, to provide you with what you need to do your jobs. This community stands behind the police. You know, other communities fight, you know, qualified immunity. They're defunding the police. This city would stand behind their police 100%. So I'm going to be a no vote. I think, as I said, it's a difficult vote, but we're all in a difficult position, and that's how we've got to look at this. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sullivan, did you have your hand up earlier?
I did. Coming out of finance, I am the what will be the no vote on this, and I will actually vote. Therefore, the no vote is to actually approve this contract. First, I did want to thank Chairwoman Matthews-Kane for running, 2 meetings that were very thoughtful, a lot of research, a lot of good discussion. And I think the Finance Committee in general did a very good job on this. And I am not here to tell you tonight that I think that financially this is a good contract for the city, because I am not disagreeing with any of the numbers put forth by either Councilor Bean or Chairwoman Matthews-Kane. I think they're absolutely spot on. In fact, asked many of those same questions during the meeting. I also don't think the process of this was done correctly. I think it was, while it may not have been, all negotiated fully, on December 22nd, this contract came together and was signed by the mayor. And let's be clear, it was the previous administration on December 22nd. And I know that there are councilors, and I will support this effort, that are looking to change the authority of the mayor should he or she lose an election at the end of the year, which I will be supportive of. So I think the timing of this contract is in fact not good. And I think that it was not well done by management at the time. That said, I can think of no worse way to negotiate 13 union contracts than on the floor of the city council. I will respect the authority of the mayor, and I understand I'm not arguing with the legal opinions that have come down that we have the authority to do this. We absolutely do. However, if I do think it is incumbent upon the city to go to the table in good faith, and let me be really clear on this, I did not say in any of my statements that I thought the police came to the table with anything but good faith. But I think if we're going to, in good faith, negotiate contracts, you have to go with respect for both sides, understanding where both parties are coming from, and you come to a resolution. And I think that there has got to be the authority for the mayor to be able to do that. And so I will be supportive of this. And I think, quite honestly, I think tonight is even an example as to why you would not want to negotiate these on the floor. Because if the administration goes to the table, negotiates a contract in good faith, and then comes back to the council and we just say, no, we're not telling you what the terms should be, we're just voting no because we can't afford it, then it's not being done in good faith. And that's like shooting fish in the barrel. And if you think you want to have bad morale, or you want to be able to encourage your employees to stay, look at when you're not able to negotiate contracts in a timely manner, that will have a chilling effect on all of that. So while I am not here tonight saying that I think that this is a good financial deal, and I cautioned the police chief when he was in favor of this contract that I think it is going to have some real ripple effects to his budget come 2023. I think the first two things to go would be the 2 new officers that he's looking to hire, and he's going to have to cover these costs within the budget. And I think that is, going to be very harmful to his overall operating budget, but he was supportive of it. I'm just saying, I think being a bit of a bellwether and knowing where this is going, he's going to have to work with a really small number, and he's going to have to make some really difficult decisions, which I think will impact personnel. I think it'll impact other programs they run, equipment that they buy, and I think it could have a real chilling effect. So I am not saying that I think that this is financially a good contract or that it was well negotiated by the administration. I am not, but I am preserving the right to good faith bargain at the table, and respect that the authority of the administration to be able to go and negotiate those contracts. So I will support this contract.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Adams for the first time, and then Councilor Flaherty.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And I've actually have looked at this contract in a totally different way. I mean, I certainly agree with what everybody has said here. But I've looked at this contract as far as I've looked back at this Quinn bill, and I've kind of researched that back. I started in 1968. It actually got passed in 1970. And there's a lot of smarter people than me that sat in the room that determined that criminal justice degree should be the degree that policemen should have for many reasons. And that was 51 years ago. So in 2009, when Mayor Knappich sat as mayor, the Quinn bill, the state determined that they're not going to pay for the Quinn bill. Well, Mayor Knappich said, you know what, it's a raw deal. The city of Westfield should pick up this cost, and we have since 2009. Since 2009, the city has paid $7 million to the police incentive, which is pretty much what the Quinn bill is. This city has backed our police department in the criminal justice field, which is what it's been for 51 years. So here we are today, 51 years later, and there's wording in this contract that totally changes what's been, in fact, what it's been a standard for 51 years. And it's saying there's a whole bunch of other degrees that we should be paying the same thing as criminal justice. I will come out and say publicly that there are officers on the force right now that don't have a degree. There are associate's degrees, bachelor's degree, and master's degree. I'm not going to say that one officer is better than another, because we have great officers that have degrees and don't have degrees. And I got to say, I can't remember the last time the city of Westfield has got into a financial situation and something that somebody has sued us for one, anything having to do with force. I can't remember anything. So whatever has been working over the past years seems to be working. So in order to make this drastic change that allows other officers with I'm not going to say less degrees, because education is very important, but anything other than a criminal justice degree, I got to see information to change that. And I've been given no information except it makes a well-rounded officer. So I can't support a contract, with this drastic change as what they're asking for here without more information that says these other degrees should be accepted. There's also something in the language that says after year one, any officer can go to the chief and commission and say, how about this degree? Is this degree good enough for the pay? I don't think any chief should be put in that position. This should be a contract and not somebody can go to the chief to get the extra pay. So I certainly have supported the police for many, many years, and I will continue to support the police for many, many years. I just can't go in there and change this contract to change a few things. It's either a yes or a no. So I hope this comes back because 2 and 2, I'm all for it. There's a lot of other things I'm for in this contract, but I can't support changing the criminal justice degree because there's a lot of good men and women who have spent a lot of time to get that degree. And that was the deal. And I think that should continue to go forward unless somebody gives me some other information that says we should change it.
Thank you, Counselor. Is there anybody else for the first time before Counselor Flaherty? Okay, seeing none. Counselor Flaherty, go ahead.
Yep, thank you. I just want to follow up on a couple of things. First, I agree education is valuable and it should be encouraged and rewarded. I don't particularly like the way the union contracts reward education, but I understand that that's what we have to deal with in government. But I think we should encourage people to get educated and be the best they can be in their profession and learn things that might help them in future roles in their department. A young police officer might eventually become some kind of a police scientist or a leader of, a group of staff or an executive in the department. And we should encourage them to get those kind of degrees if it's going to help serve the city. I also want to say there's a difference between good faith negotiation and our fiduciary duty to review these things. By expressing our fiduciary duty, we're not discounting the good faith negotiation that other people participated in. We have different roles, and our role is to approve these things or deny these things and send them back. And I think that's what we plan on doing tonight. I don't want to get into every line item. I think that's the negotiating team's job. But our job is to say, no, we can't afford this right now. Please reconsider and come back again. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. President, Cindy Harris.
Councilor Harris, please go ahead.
Before we take the vote, could we specify exactly saying a no vote means you approve the contract and a yes vote means you do not approve the contract? Would you specify that, please?
Yes, you do have it correct. The motion out of finance was for disapproval. So a yes vote actually agrees with the disapproval of the contract. So a yes vote is disapproval of the contract. A no vote is approval of the contract.
Thank you.
Is anyone not clear with that? We're good? Because I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So a yes vote disapproves the contract, a no vote approves the contract. If I may, from the chair, I'm about to make a very difficult vote, as we all are. And I am very supportive of the police. I always have been and will always continue to be supportive of the police and the first responders. So is there any further discussion? Otherwise, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns?
Yes.
Figgy?
No.
Flaherty? Yes.
Harris?
No.
Matthews Kane?
Yes.
Mello?
Yes.
Morganelli?
Yes.
Oniski?
Yes.
Sullivan?
No.
Adams?
Yes.
Alley?
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltran.
No.
So I believe that is 8 yeses and 5 noes. Is that right, Madam City Clerk? What do you have?
4 no's. I have 4 no's.
Okay, so 9 yeses, 4 noes. So this contract will be going back to negotiation. Thank you. Item number 4, Councilor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance met and on a 3-0 recommendation recommends approval of the appropriation of $62,000 from free cash to the purchasing department for repairs and maintenance account. I move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Sullivan.
Yes, we had the building department as well as the finance team, and they are recommending the $62,000. This is for actually an upgrade of the Siemens contract for our management and systems operations for 7 different buildings within the city. For those that aren't familiar with it, the Siemens contract deals with the heating and the air conditioning and being able to monitor that and operate those systems effectively and efficiently. I think the councilors will appreciate the fact that the Windows service that currently is used here is from 2008 and in fact really is not working anymore. So what the $62,000 will get is an upgrade to Windows Server 2019, but that will last us well into the future. So it is the recommendation to approve this transfer.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltran.
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 5, Councilor Matthews Kane.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Thursday, February 10th, the Finance Committee met regarding the appropriation of $47,000 from free cash to Technology Center Replacement Equipment account to replace switches in Tech Center for $22,000 and City Hall for $25,000. And upon a 3-0 vote, we decided to recommend the appropriation, and I move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Matthews Kane.
Thank you, Mr. President. The $47,000 is for replacement equipment costs. The $22,000 for the Tech Center switches is to replace the 5-year-old core switches through which all the city's traffic flows, as all of the sites connect to the Tech Center before they flow out to the internet. These switches still work, but they do not have the capacity for the greater increased bandwidth the city needs. One increased demand on the switches is that the school department has greatly increased the number of Chromebooks in the system. They were at roughly 1,500 or 2,000 pre-COVID, and now they're at 5,000 post-COVID. The school department also makes great use of Google Classrooms. Another demand on our city's system is that the email has moved to a web-based email and thus is hosted out of the city. All of this has to flow out of the city's network to get to the web, so we must increase the capacity. The core switches will have multiple 10 gig ports that allow us to balance the traffic coming in and out of the city. The $25,000 upgrade for City Hall will switch out 5 10-year-old switches that still need to be replaced in the assessor's office, which feeds all the floors on that end of the building. The main switch for City Hall, which is stationed in the media room, was already upgraded at the end of last year. And this next upgrade will complete the process for the whole building. This need is partially driven by the new phones the city added towards the end of last year, and it replaced 11-year-old phones. The new phones are voice over internet phones and need steady power to work, and the current switches cannot provide that steady source of power. When there are power outages, the phones fail, and this new upgrade will alleviate this problem.
Thank you. Any discussion, further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 13-0. Item 6, Councilor Bean.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee has met and gives favorable approval of an appropriation of $15,000 from free cash to Treasurer's Department building account for improvements to Treasurer's office. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Bean.
Yeah, this money that's being appropriated from free cash is really for a few things. One, it's really the functionality and the security of the office. They're going to be building a door or gate, new countertop. They did receive an estimate back in 2021 for the gate itself was about $4,600. But the real issue is that the security of that office. We've all been in there. We've seen that in many offices throughout City Hall. I hope a lot of these offices it's a domino effect with a lot of them. I know it seems like a lot of money, but welcome to municipal finance. And it's just well needed for the safety and security of that office. I would strongly recommend the mayor to look at other departments and other even council chambers for that matter, for just protecting elected officials and employees of City Hall as employees come into the building. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 13-0. Item 7, Councilor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee has met and on a 3-0 recommendation would recommend the appropriation of $10,000 from free cash to the Animal Control Department full-time salary account. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Sullivan.
Pretty self-explanatory. This is $5,000 to each of the full-time animal control officers' salary. Really for two reasons. One is attracting. I think everyone knows there's an open position that they are currently hiring for. Number one, but number two, more importantly, we are actually below the federal compliance regulations with regards to the salary that we're paying for an exempt employee. We are below that number. So this does get us into federal compliance. We did have a discussion about paying, a living wage for these two positions, which currently they are not. And again, they are below federal compliance. So the committee was supportive of the approval tonight, and I would urge a favorable vote.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilor Flaherty.
Yes, thank you. Just to the committee, how many people are in the Animal Control Department right now? I had an email from a constituent that asked that. And are they all full-time or are they part-time?
I believe that there's the 2 animal control officers. I'm not. There's the 2 that are the subject of this motion, and they're both full-time. We did not ask if there were any part-time, so I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion. Councilor Morganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I'm just to the committee. What? Why is this being done now instead of the budget's coming up pretty soon? So why are we using free cash now instead of just, making this part of the new budget formula? I know the current mayor, this is his recommendation, but just want a little more explanation on that.
Councilor Matthews-Kane.
Thank you, Mr. President. The reason for the timing is because there's 2 positions open now and they'd like to fill them. They're having a hard time finding qualified applicants who are willing to work for the current pay, and they're hoping that this increase in pay will bring in a greater pool of applicants. They'll be able to fill them. And I'd also like to compliment the department. They actually did a lot of research. They reviewed what the contracts and the salary were in West Springfield, Northampton, and one other city I can't think of off the top of my head. And you could really see that Westfield was below what the other communities had and that we had to pull things up. So thank you.
And just what's the current salary of? I didn't pull up the budget in the.
I believe it's 35,000.
Thank you.
If I could just on the point with regards to why now and not in the budget, was we in the 23 budget, because we actually asked that very question, particularly since at least one of the positions is not filled, or at least wasn't filled the night of the finance committee. It was the recommendation of the mayor, number 1. It was the recommendation of the personnel director, number 2, mostly around the issue of the federal compliance. And we are out of federal compliance on this position, as I said earlier. So those were the really 2 biggest of the drivers. And, I will trust that the mayor, being supportive of this appropriation, knows he's going to have to obviously incorporate it into his fiscal 23 budget. But we did ask that very question.
Thank you. Any further discussion, Councilor Morganelli?
Yeah, no, just a point of just to say, so that's a 14.3% increase in the salary. So something that was probably should have been done with the committee, say last year, the year before, or something. I mean, shouldn't that, if we fall short from the federal guideline or whatever it is, I suppose it should have been taken care of. How did this happen?
Councilor, anyone know or?
Have to call past administration.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilor Burns.
Yeah, Mr. President, just to add, there is on council share, there is a notice of how much the animal control officer makes, and it's a work week of 37.5 hours a week. Overtime is a time and a half. The pay grade is S7 and it's in the union. Ranges from 2186 to 2554.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns.
Yes.
Figgy.
Yes.
Flaherty.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Matthews-Kane.
Yes.
Mello.
Yes.
Morganelli.
Yes.
Oniski.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Alley.
Yes.
Bean.
Yes.
Beltrandi.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 13-0. Item 8, Councilor Matthews-Kane.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Thursday, February 10th, the Finance Committee met regarding the appropriation of $70,000 from free cash to Law Department Purchase of Services account, and upon a 3-0 vote, we decided to recommend the appropriation. So moved.
Second.
Second, motion made and seconded. Councilor Matthews-Kane.
Thank you, Mr. President. City View Commons was a condominium project developed in Westfield in the late 1980s that failed. There were roughly 25 units that now have a tangled and complicated ownership history due to bankruptcies, probate, trusts, and various other legal transfers, resulting in a patchwork of ownership. The law department will use the funds to hire attorney Seidel, who specializes in these kinds of cases and can track down the answers to these complicated legal questions. The cost is an estimate for the whole process, including court fees and publication costs. However, it is hard to make an accurate estimate because there are so many unknowns, so Attorney Reed went with an estimate on the high end. If the city is successful in cleaning up the title to these properties, the city could sell it as a whole back for back taxes, reap the gains, and then hopefully the property would be back on the tax rolls. It would also benefit the neighbors to have this problem property redeveloped. It's a large parcel, and while the city has had inquiries from developers over the years, the city has not been able to sell it because of these outstanding legal issues. Hopefully this process will clear that out and we can move on and sell it.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns. Burns.
Yes.
Figgy.
Yes.
Flaherty.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Matthews Kane.
Yes.
Mello.
Yes.
Morganelli.
Yes.
Oniski.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Alley.
Yes.
Bean.
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Item passes 13-0. Item 9, Councilor Bean.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee has met and on a 3-0 vote approves the $300,000 from free cash to airport purchase service account to design phase of taxiway B5.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Bean.
Yeah, we had the director of the airport come in, talk about this particular project. This is for design work of this particular taxiway. This is something that is not, it does not exist. This is something that they are planning for future development, which this taxiway will open up, for what Chris said, two different, a part of the land that will segment out about two different parcels. Parcels will probably be around $50,000 to $60,000 each. He does have some real interest in one of those parcels already. And in his words, they usually these kind of jobs or these kind of development projects will spin off maybe 6 to 7 jobs. They did get a quote, at least on the $300,000 for the design phase from our house doctor or the engineer on call, which is something that's been, the house doctor has been part of the city. They have a 5-year contract with us, which we deal with as far as an RFP process. I don't know if some are familiar with that. But it will hopefully increase tax dollars. It will give us new lease agreements as well as fuel costs for these particular properties. So this will create the access to develop those properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, Councilor Flaherty?
Thank you. Is the $50,000 a annual lease, or is that the sale of an acre of land or something? What's the $50,000?
And someone correct me if I'm wrong. I have it down as a sale. I do not have it as a lease.
I can tell you it's a lease.
It is a lease. Okay. I had sale down, so my apologies.
Thank you.
It makes more sense if considering it's city property.
Thank
Any further discussion? Councilor Alley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a question. I mean, $300,000, and that's just for design. Now, I've never designed anything like that, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. But that sounds like a huge amount of money to design something. Was there any discussion and why it costs $300,000 to design a runway, or what's entailed, or is there more to it than that?
I'll let the chair speak to that.
He had done some estimates on how much it would cost for the other runways, and we had discussed the costs, and And also it is just for the plan. It's not for the actual build out. He thinks he's more likely to get state funds than federal funds to do it. And we are basically making the request based on his outstanding ability in the past to consistently deliver on these grants he gave us actually a 2-page history of all the grants he's received. So that we did ask those questions about the grant.
Yeah, and if I may, I'm the airport liaison, so I'm sitting in on a lot of these meetings where this is discussed. And the permitting is also in there. The engineering costs are in there. When they do anything on the airport, you would think the taxiway is just lay down some pavement. Well, it's a lot more than that. It's where it's located with safety from runways. It's the width. The construction is much more difficult at an airport than it is, let's say, putting in a driveway, to oversimplify the other side of it. So it's a lot of money, though. You're right, but that's where it's being spent. Is there any further discussion? Nah, that's okay. I think we get it covered, but thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandi.
Yes.
Item passes 13-0. Item 10, Councilor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that item 10 be withdrawn and that no action be taken.
Second, motion made and seconded. Discussion, Councilor Sullivan.
Yep, real quick. Finance Committee would have acted favorably on this. This represents the equipment that goes on to the new fire trucks that are purchased typically, or at least as of late, they've been purchased from the ambulance account. We did ask the question as to whether or not the truck was here or forthcoming, and as it turns out, the truck will in fact not be coming until next fiscal year. So this is actually premature at this point. Not that we may not see it in fiscal 23, but there is no truck to put this equipment on. So we would recommend withdrawing with no action being taken.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, so this is going to be a roll call to withdraw the item. Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandi.
Yes.
Thank you. Although this is breaking the pattern, Councilor Sullivan, item 11, please.
We'd like to try to keep you on your toes, Mr. Chairman. Finance Committee did meet and on a 3-0 recommendation would look to support the appropriation of $80,000 from free cash to fire department purchase a service for electronic locking systems for all fire department exterior doors. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Sullivan.
We spent a fair amount of time on this item. This is for, as it says, locking systems for the fire department. The major concern is when the calls are made and all of the equipment has left the stations, particularly the substations on Little River and Southampton Road. There's nobody there. There have been some incidents or some threats of incidents of break-ins, and obviously when there's calls that are made, they are public. So this is really kind of continues to fall into the security system, which we addressed earlier with the treasurer's office, treasurer collector's office. This while it certainly is a lot of money, it's more than just a locking system. They have to do some work with the doors themselves to be able to get this system to work appropriately. It'll move them away from the key code system, which they currently have, which for anybody that has a key code, they tend to get out there and people tend to know the numbers. So it is not the best security devices. So the fire chief and the mayor recommend this appropriation. So finance did in fact support it.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Item passes 13-0. Item 12, Councilor Matthews Gain.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Thursday, February 10th, the Finance Committee met regarding the appropriation of $55,000 from free cash to the following short-term debt accounts. $30,000 to principal on short-term for Project 2358 Southampton Road Target, and $25,000 to principal on short-term debt for Project 2592B Airport HVAC. And upon a 3-0 vote, we decided to recommend the appropriation. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Matthews Gain.
Thank you, Mr. President. These are for bonds that the city anticipated taking out but no longer need to if we make this appropriation. In fiscal year 2020, the city incurred spending for the Southampton Road Turnpike interchange work and for the airport HVAC project. The city funded these projects through an internal borrowing process, and then they were repaid with a BAN, which is a bond anticipation note that you can sell when you anticipate selling a bond in the next 1 to 2 years. The time is up to repay the BAN, and instead of taking out an 8 to 10-year bond, the city would like to use free cash to pay it off. The city will save the interest costs of roughly $8,500, and this is just the equivalent of paying off your credit card debt to save on those interest payments. So that's the story.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Item passes 13-0. Item 13, Councilor Bean.
Lucky number 13. Finance Committee has met and gives favorable approval on a 3-0 vote for the appropriation of $700,000 from free cash to the school department, Westfield High School purchase of lands and buildings account for the swimming pool repairs.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Bean.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I think we're all very familiar with this situation. This was one that was in front of us, or at least talked about at one point, for a $1.2 million project. I think we were all a little taken aback. I'm sure we're still a little taken aback that it's $700,000, but they did go back and at a different time went back and bid, as well as rewrote the bid out to the public to receive those bids, and they did parcel out of the tile work as well. So this $700,000 will cover the repairs to the pool. It will not cover the tile work. The tile work will be something separate. They're estimating those costs to be around $50,000. So I commend the purchasing department as well as the school committee or school department on how they re-engineered this bid packet to get a more favorable number. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Further discussion, Counselor Figge.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to remind the council that one of the reasons we had $9 million in free cash was because 1.1 million came from the school department. As you probably will remember earlier, the hope was to have this all done before July 1st. And when the bids came in, it wasn't feasible. So therefore, the money that the school had set aside out of their budget for this reverted to free cash.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Counselor Bean.
I'll yield to Counselor Flaherty, and I think Counselor Harris, and I'll speak a second time after.
Okay, so we'll go Harris, Morganelli, Flaherty. How about that?
There you go.
Counselor Harris.
Thank you. As Counselor Figge knows, he's a liaison that I'm a strong supporter of the schools and have been for many, many years. And I understand swimming pool needs repairs and has for a long time. But I really find it difficult to appropriate $700,000 when we would not approve, or I approve, but most of you did not approve the police contract, which is one half of that. So it's just very disturbing. I mean, I will support this because I understand that the money reverted back, but it's just it doesn't look good on paper when you say $700,000 for a swimming pool, and then you basically say no to the police officers who put their lives on the line every single day. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Morganelli, and then Flaherty.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate Counselor Harris's comment. I'm just going to keep it simple. I certainly support our schools. I'd love to see a new high school. We've got a new elementary school coming. I'd love to see a new high school. The place is old. What's the master plan? We're working on a master plan for the city. Where does that all fit in? Is there a new high school in the future? I'm going to be a no on this. I think we need to make this part of the plan, and I just can't support over $1 million in repairs or near $1 million in repairs for this right now. I wish I could, but I can't do that for the taxpayers.
Thank you. Counselor Flaherty.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm, concerned about the cost, but I know what it is when we get into building things in government. The costs are higher. 1.2 million was a big number. I congratulate everybody who put the brakes on, because by putting on the brakes for 6 months, we're saving, quite a bit of money. And, we shouldn't be afraid to do that. That's part of our job, to say, hey, hold on a minute. Let's try thinking about this a different way. Let's wait a little bit and see what happens. And in this case, as you can see, it's saved several $100,000. So I congratulate everybody who was involved in that decision. I'm too worried about putting this money in the pool and then plowing under that building if that's their plan for the future. I also think that they have a history of not maintaining things and waiting till they get to the point of needing significant capital improvements. And I'd like to make sure that if we put $700,000 into the pool, that we spend the money every year to maintain it, so we don't have to do this in the future. I do think there's great value in recreation and sports, and again, it is what it is when it comes to construction and government. I hate to see how much it really costs us compared to the private sector, but it is what it is. And if you want to offer great education and have good fitness programs and recreation programs, we have to make these kind of investments. It is a one-time investment out of free cash, which is completely different than funding a police contract for an ongoing, ever-increasing budget. So comparing the two is, in my mind, not appropriate. They're two different animals here. This is a one-time capital expense with money that's in free cash. A police contract or any other contract is a recurring contract that grows over time. And that's a different animal. So I don't like the comparison. I really, I'm not in favor of this total cost. I'm going to vote for it because I know that's what it costs to do business these days. But I really hope we look at these things in the future and don't don't hesitate to say no to a few things. Here's a perfect example of saying no saved us a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for the first time? Councilor Adams.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I had a question for the committee, and I'm not sure if they have the answer or not. But first question would be: where have the children, the swim team, where have they gone while this pool's been down, and what is the overall cost of that? What are we paying for the overall cost of that? I don't know if they have the answer or not for that.
I can tell you that they're going to the
Councilor Sullivan, go ahead.
To the Boys and Girls Club. There is a cost. I don't know the number. I'm not going to tell you it amortizes $700,000, but there is a cost associated with that. Never mind the inconvenience and the time and the buses and whatever else they got to run. But that's where they've gone.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilor Bean. Councilor Figge for the first time. No, you talked, didn't you, Councilor Figge?
Yes, I already talked once.
Go ahead. You're on anyway.
Also, they hold their meets at Westfield State because there's no diving board at the Boys and Girls Club. So they're going to two different facilities at this point.
Thank you. Councilor Bean. I got to give it to him.
I hear you. No, I'm fine. I give it. I got to take it. It's they are at Westfield State as well as the Boys and Girls Club. I was going to say that, and I will say this, and I've been pretty consistent about this. It's a real embarrassment the way we handle our facilities across the city, especially on the athletic side. Maybe having kids just graduating, I've seen it recently, and to have a budget that we have, a landmass population, and to have a pool at our high school just sitting there and not being utilized is crazy in my mind. It's expensive. No one can deny that fact. I know a few of us, a couple of us on finance were kind of asked the superintendent and the mayor to really find a way to open up availability to that pool. If it's free swim at night, I know that was something as a kid. I'm probably opening myself again here, but as a kid, I did free swim over there and learned how to swim and so forth. And Councilor Niski, please hold your comments. And it was just a good thing to do at night at 7:00 at night. So, although we always look at it as, dealing with just a swim team or some gym class, we have tried to at least say that, and I'll follow up on this, that we need to open it up a little bit further. I would hope that this particular item within free cash, and I'll reiterate what Councilor Flaherty said, that it is very inappropriate to combine the two or to compare the two in the sense of police contracts and pools. It's one-time monies. It's exactly what this stuff should be used for. We are not going to see a high school for another decade. I'm no expert, but we got a long way to go. So we better take care of the ones that we have in front of us now, because right now our facilities are falling apart and we need to move quicker rather than slower. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Mello and then Morganelli.
Could I please ask, when was the last time the pool was usable, and when was the last time it received a renovation?
It's been offline for over a year, and I think it is closer. Councilor Bean's holding up two fingers, closer to two. Yeah. And I can tell you, so that the Councilor Bean doesn't feel too old, is someone who graduated in the first class who went all 4 years for the first time at the new high school. There hasn't been any major renovation there, or quite frankly, anywhere significantly in that building for 47 years.
Thank you.
Other than some roofs and some of those types of items, but in terms of science labs or IT or pools, it's about 47 years.
So
thank you. Councilor Morganelli. Oh, go ahead, Councilor. You had a follow-up, Mello? You have a follow-up?
Please. I just want to wrap my brain around this. This is money that was in their budget last year that they had to do this work. And this is a pool that has never had a major renovation that is literally the same tiles that were there when I was in it? That's what you're telling me?
I am not aware of any significant renovations that have been done to that pool since the day it went in.
Thank you.
Councilor Morganelli.
Thank you,
and then
Mr.
Burns.
Thank you. So there's other athletic things that facilities that we don't have. We don't have a track. We don't have a track and field at the high school. We don't have a ski mountain. Last time I checked, and they have a ski team that just went out to Berkshire East for a tournament there. The tennis courts, I think, need upgraded. There's a lot of facility. Look, we need a new high school. It needs to be part of the master plan. I hope it is. I know it's going to be 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. I hope not. I hope it's sooner than that, because I look around these other communities. West Springfield has a beautiful high school. I think that's only maybe 8 or 10 years old. It's beautiful over there. So I just would really like, I'd really like the council to consider all that when they take their vote, that this is close to $1 million to repair this pool. And there, what is, as to Council Mello's point, what is the maintenance plan for the pool going forward? Will the pool be saved if we do build a new high school? Will that section of the building be saved? What are the costs to use a pool at another facility, just like we use other, track and field at another place, or we go to a ski mountain, or we go to a golf course for the golf team and that kind of thing. So what are the costs? And I really do not think we should be investing this much money in a swimming pool right now. No disrespect to the kids that swim and to our mayor who coached swimming. Good friends of mine, the Russell family, their son Tommy went to the States. He was an incredible swimmer. I appreciate the athleticism, and we need to support that. But I just think we can support that without putting in a new swimming pool right now in this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Burns.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. At first I wasn't going to support this when it first came up, when I saw it on, but again, this is part of the curriculum. Even though when I was in high school there, I didn't like swimming. But I still part of the curriculum. I didn't like algebra either, but swimming was less favorite. Anyways,
use the bubble.
Well, yeah, we used the bubble. Oh, we had a pool, but anyways, at home. But anyway, like Councilor Flaherty said, it's not a recurrent expense, and that's where I was caught at. And but I'm going to support this, and because it is for a curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Matthews-Gain.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be supporting this. Many of you know safety is a major concern of mine. I just want to remind everybody, swimming is a safety skill. If you learn how to do it, you can save your life. If you're a poor kid and the only place you learn how to swim is in your high school gym class, that could save your life. Also, this money will probably help the pool go 10 more years while the high school is open. I think it's important to keep it open during those last years. So I'll be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Figge.
Thank you, Mr. President. And when it comes time to build a new high school, part of the feasibility study will be looking at what facilities we have that can be maintained and built into a new building. It's very possible that could happen to that because of the way it's situated as almost a standalone as it is now. So I wouldn't worry about 10 years down, 15 years down the road. Let's get these kids some water to swim in now.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figge,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews-Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
No.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Is he frozen?
He might have
Adam?
froze.
I think he's sleeping.
I can run over and check on him.
I'll vote for him.
Allie? Allie?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Beltrandi?
Yes.
So item passes 11-1 with one sleeping.
Mr. President, he sent me a message saying his battery died, but he'll be back soon.
I thought he was giving me the eye.
Can't wait, so we won't. Item 14, Counselor Sullivan.
Yes, I drew the short straw. Items 14 and 15 are our favorite votes. But item 14, the Finance Committee met and on a 3-0 vote recommends approval of the transfer of $1,250.70 within the Public Works Department Highway Division supply account fiscal 22 to fiscal 21 supply account for a prior year bill. So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Counselor Sullivan.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. This is for supplies for the department. I will say for the full committee, we did spend a little bit of time on this because this is a case where the employee who in fact got the bill from the supplier retired and they didn't find it till afterwards. So that is on us. However, we did go over process and procedures, and there's no way individual employees should be getting any bill from anybody, much less any suppliers. So that will be changed. We were pretty clear with the department head that we wouldn't be acting favorably if that was a situation again in the future. But this is a bill for supplies that we did use last year. So we need to pay the bill. So we move approval, and I so move.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Counselor Morganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, just thank you to the committee. I remember that discussion at the Finance Committee, and we've gotten a lot of these lately. And I know that the mayor's not on this call, but I think we all need to speak with him individually to get these department heads to find out why these things keep happening. This is just unnecessary. These bills should be paid on time, should be billed on time, and if they're not, who's to flip the bill for that? The taxpayers. And we shouldn't be paying bills from last year or 2 years ago, and that's happened a lot lately. So I encourage all of us to reach out to the mayor to correct what's not happening that should be happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Counselor Mello.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a general question. Can someone advise me as to whether or not there's a reason we can't get this handled with personnel and tech? Like when someone retires, their email account gets a bounce or a shutdown so that when someone bills them, isn't there some kind of, computer way to solve this problem?
Well, there probably is, but the bottom line is you shouldn't have an individual employee getting invoices from a supplier for either any kind of goods and services. There's a process to get the bill paid, and it shouldn't go to an individual employee to begin with.
Oh, I totally agree. But since we only control us.
Yes. So I guess the short answer is sure, because it's, we still got the email account, and apparently that's where it was sitting. So.
Right. Who do we ask?
Well, we think we should rectify it by having the right process in place and not have to hopefully deal with the scenario you put out there, but I guess it would be an IT issue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Flaherty and then Figgy.
Yeah, thank you. I think we can make a financial processing, ordinance and require that all purchase orders and open contracts have to be paid within 45 days of the year end or they don't get paid. A vendor, if they don't think they're going to get paid, they're going to be making phone calls to the right place to get it paid. It should be very clearly written into the contract that any services provided in one fiscal year have to be invoiced and paid within 45 days of the end of that year, and leave it up to the vendor to chase it down and to contact the right person. And, maybe it's, the accounts payable department in the city, but it shouldn't be every department's job to do this. And it should be very simple to add that kind of language to the contract. I know as a former state contractor, you didn't get your bills in time at the end of the year. You didn't get paid. You had to get them in by that deadline, or you don't get paid. The state doesn't play this game. And I don't think we should either. We wasted how many hours talking about these silly little items for a few $100s and a few $1,000s. It's crazy. So I'm going to be a no vote on all of these tonight. But I think the process should be modified, and I don't think it would be that hard to do. And vendors would make an effort if they knew they weren't going to get paid. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Figge.
I just like to wish the chair of finance better luck on this issue than I had when I was chair of finance.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, well,
Go ahead, Councilor Alley.
thank you, Mr. President. It has been worse. And if it's our fault, it's something, however that email was handed out to a vendor or whatever, it becomes our responsibility, and you need to pay your own bills. So there's a lot of effort that has to go into, straightening some of this stuff out. But it is money that we owe, and if it's our responsibility, then we need to pay it. So.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figge,
Yes.
Flaherty,
No.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
No.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams. Come back.
Still on
Not
snooze.
back yet.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes. Oh my God. What time is it?
Item passes 10-2. Item 15, Councilor Sullivan.
Well, if you didn't like that one, you won't like this one. So transfer, the Finance Committee met and on a 3-0 vote recommends the transfer of $110.91 within the Department of Public Works Sewer Wastewater Treatment Division from fiscal 22 purchase of service account to fiscal 21 purchase of service account for a prior year bill. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Sullivan.
Pretty straightforward. This is actually the shipping cost for a part that we actually did pay for the part. We just did not pay the shipping for it. So that's what this is. I will tell you, given the comments from the previous item, I have talked to the mayor on this, and this one, at least this particular issue with regards to shipping and accessory charges will be addressed, and he's already put a plan forward to the department heads on not having this repeat.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figge, Figge,
Invasion of
Yeah.
the body snatchers.
He says yes.
okay. Flaherty,
No.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
No.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams, back.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 11-2. Item 16, Councilor Matthews Kane.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have more. On Thursday, February 10th, the Finance Committee met regarding the transfer of $602.80 within the Public Works Department Sewer and Wastewater Division fiscal year 22 supplies account to fiscal year 21 supplies account for a prior year bill.
Second.
And
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Matthews Kane.
So we had a 3-0 vote to approve the transfer. It's another prior year bill. It was $580 for uniforms. It was $22.80 for a WIC. Some more lost bills that should have been paid earlier.
Further discussion, Councilor Bean.
Yeah, I protest this one just because I figured that Councilor Sullivan would be bringing it out, and I'm really upset about that.
Further discussion.
I'm getting punchy. I really am.
I can't make him do all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can.
All right, seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yeah.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
No.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
No.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 11-2. Item 17, Councilor Matthews Kane.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Thursday, February 10th, the Finance Committee met regarding the transfer of $2,904.86 within the Public Works Department Water Division fiscal year 22 purchase of services account to the fiscal year 21 purchase of service account for a prior year bill. And upon a 3-0 vote, we decided to recommend the transfer. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Matthews Kane.
This was a Whip City fiber bill for the Owens District Water Treatment Plant that had also been misplaced.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councilor Morganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Just for the record, a lot of these prior year bills that I remember, that I recall, come out of the DPW department.
Thank you. Councilor Mello, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, I know it's late, but you're telling me that this fender was our own?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yeah.
Flaherty,
No.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
No, not that one.
Morganelli,
No.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 10-3. Thank you, Finance, for a lot of items and a lot of work. Legislative and Ordinance Committee. Councilor Burns, do you want to say something before we go into item 18?
Yeah, I like to recuse myself from number 18 and number 19 due to the fact of an employment situation with a relative.
Thank you. And I am also going to recuse myself from items 18 and 19 because I've got employment outside of marijuana with someone who holds a host community agreement in the city of Westfield. So I'm looking for a motion from Councilor Bean, please.
Motion to nominate John Beltrandy as pro temp.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
I think I have to vote yes.
Somebody give me and Mike a call. Remember.
Mr. President, could I add something? Even though I did participate in the vote for LNO, the situation came about after the vote. Okay, so I'm gonna just recuse myself, as I said. Thank you. See you soon.
Let the record reflect that. Item 18, Councilor Figge.
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. L&L met on February 10th, and on a 2-1 positive vote to recommend approval or sending the resolution authorizing approval for the mayor to sign a host community agreement with Rector Extract 69 Neck Road for an adult use marijuana product production facility.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Figge.
Yes, this is the first of 2 host community agreements with Richter Extracts. This first one deals with a production facility. A production facility takes the raw product, the plant, and turns it into usable products for sale to community members. It will take up a small portion of the building and will have 10 employees or so to do this. So he is looking to create and manufacture edibles, oils, cannabis, things like that. So it's production.
Thank you. Further discussion. Councilor Bean.
I see a couple of people kind of questioning. This is like a bulk sale kind of situation, so it goes to the retail establishments. Is that what happens?
Yes, he does not have a retail license. He cannot retail it out of that facility. So he's just kind of like the middleman. He'll take the raw product, make the product, and then ship it to somebody else to sell.
Got it.
Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you to the committee. Do we get some kind of recommendation from the mayor on these things? Or do we just get the request to sign a contract? Is somebody in City Hall vetted the applicant and the business and all that and send us a written recommendation that this is appropriate for Westfield or the best interest of Westfield, anything like that?
Councilor Figge, would you like to respond?
Yeah, PJ Miller in Community Development is responsible for the creation of the host community agreement. We have not received any communication from the mayor as to whether this is a positive or a negative. PJ was at our meeting and he did discuss and explain the differences between a production facility, a grow facility, a retail sale facility, things like that. But no, we have not got a recommendation whether it's yes or no, good or bad. I hate to say this, but I assume PJ does the vetting to the best of his ability. And I would think that the recommendation coming to us would be a positive sign. That's all.
Councilor Mello.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the committee, was there any discussion about the location of this business and whether or not there are any other businesses in this area that make products that are consumed by humans? This is a Chapter 21. There's files on this with Mass DEP. I am very concerned with producing things there that have human consumption.
This will be within the building. It won't be on the outside grounds. The applicant is well aware of the need to go before the planning board as well as the Conservation Commission because it is located in a floodplain.
Yeah, it's not the floodplain I'm worried about, but thank you for your answer.
That's the best I got.
Any further discussion? Councilor Sullivan.
I just had a question, and I think the answer to this is no, but they don't already have state permits and authority to operate this, correct?
That is correct. They need the host agreement before they can go forward to do anything.
Yeah, which this is one time that, I think we ought to be the last place they come, not the first place, because what do we know? To Councilor Flaherty's point, on the vetting process or anything else. But I understand you've only got in front of you what you got in front of you. But it seems like we're a little cart before the horse here. But I know we've had this problem. I've had this problem on the other ones that come before us too. So.
This is the process that's laid out by the state. We have no control over the sequencing of the events and how it goes about. I too have questions and concerns about the whole process, but it is what it is. We got to deal with what we got.
Thank you.
Councilor Mello?
Thank you, Mr. President. Is this one of those situations where we only have so many agreements we can make, or can we make as many HCAs as?
We can make as many of these as we can or want to. We've only limited the retail sale. So there can be any number of grows, any number of production facilities. And each host agreement has a 3% in there. That's only if we can prove that they've disrupted the city. So they have to do something that causes the city to pay extra in order to get any of the money from the 3%. So these don't make money for the city.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything further? Seeing none, let's do a roll call, and Madam City Clerk.
Figgy,
Oh, yes. Yeah, Figgy. Oh, first.
Flaherty,
No.
Harris,
No.
Matthews Kane,
No.
Mello,
No, not at that location.
Morganelli,
No.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
No.
Allie,
No.
Bean,
No.
Beltrandy.
No. What do we got for count, Madam City Clerk?
2 yes.
Motion fails.
Motion fails.
It was 2 yes.
Okay.
No need to read the resolution then, is there?
Nope, that's why we voted first. Okay, that fails. Item 19, Councilor Adams.
Illinois was met and gives a 2-to-1 negative recommendation on a resolution authorizing the approval of the mayor to sign a host community agreement with Richter Cannabis for an adult use marijuana cultivation facility.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Adams.
And I mean, the only thing that I have, I voted, I was one of the no votes, and my feeling is we have quite a few of these facilities already. And my feeling is I'd like to give them an opportunity to get off the ground before we go approving 5 more of these facilities. We're not going to know where we're going to be ending up. So I'm a no vote just because we have so many already, and I'd like to give them an opportunity to get up and going before we start, before we take any more of these facilities on.
Anybody else?
Mr. President.
Councilor Harris and then
Cindy
Councilor.
Harris.
Yep, go ahead, Cindy.
I just like you to again specify that a yes vote is the opposite of what you think it is. A yes vote would be agreeing on the no vote by the committee.
Okay. Councilor Sullivan.
And again, this is just for cultivation, correct? It's not for, it's not retail sales. Right?
Correct.
Councilor Flaherty.
Yes, thank you. But I believe in the discussion, these owners made it pretty clear that they want retail sales and they want on-site consumption and they want package delivery services in the future. This is just the first 2 things they need to get going. I'm going to be a no vote, just like I've been on most of the other marijuana things. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't like the idea of recreational drugs, and I'm very consistent. I deal with a lot of young people, and we're constantly telling them to avoid recreational drugs and lead a healthy lifestyle. And I don't think, with good conscience, I can be voting to support recreational drug use in any way. Thank you.
Councilor Figgy, and then Mello.
This is just for a grow facility, and then their conversation for each and every additional thing, they'd have to go through the same whole procedure that they're going through now for that. So it was kind of pie in the sky. This is what we'd like to end up in however many years, but the first step would be to get the growth going.
Councilor Mello.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I support what this industry has done, especially for our seniors who have had some terrible problems getting the medication that they need. Okay, so I completely support the industry in the way that it is helping people. But, you know, plants grow with water and air. And Neck Road, I mean, you guys know what's down there. And the thing is, we just, you know, approved these sewer rates so that, you know, we could improve the air quality in the buildings that are right down the street from where you're talking about. And so while I would support this in a safer location for the final product, I can't support it here. And I'm sorry about that. So I guess that makes a yes, right? And so thank you, Councillor Harris, because I need that. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none. Roll call. Councillor Alley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, so yes means no.
Yes. Well, wait a minute. The previous one we voted no.
It was a negative recommendation, right?
Negative recommendation.
Right. So yes would be to support the negative recommendation.
Yes, right. That's correct.
Right.
Okay.
So yes means you want to reject you want to keep the recommendation.
Okay. Roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Piggy,
No.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Sullivan,
No.
Adams,
Yes.
Hallie,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
9-2 goes down.
Motion fails.
No, motion passes.
Motion passes. I'm sorry. You guys are confusing me. All right. So I just invited Councilor Oniski back. So let's give him a minute. Are you there, Councilor?
Did anybody invite Burns back?
You're not inviting Burns back, are you?
No, I wasn't going to.
We have certain standards.
We need a motion for that.
All right.
All right. I woke up Adams, so we're set to move on.
I got to invite. Can you invite Mike back?
He is here. He is on. Oh, maybe he's not.
No, he's not.
I'd like to make a motion to restore Mr. Oniski to his seat of power.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
I invited him.
Piggy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Hallie,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Beltrandy. Item number 20, Councilor Adams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The LO has met and gives a 3-0 vote, a favorable recommendation submitting a resolution to enter funding agreement for Elm Street Urban Renewal Project.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Adams.
Yes, this is basically a transfer. This is in their budget. This is in PJ's budget, and this is basically taking the $15,000 from his budget and putting it into the special account for the WRA.
Thank you. Further discussion.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically for, I think if everybody knows the project, which was basically the old Newberry lot, they want to continue to put this out there and see if they can get, something into that space. PJ Miller said if, for some reason they didn't use that, that money, I think there's $40,000 in there now. This will make it about 55. If they don't use the money would go back into the general fund. But they are certainly still looking to fill that spot downtown. They have, certainly there's a few options on the table, but they need the monies to continue this project and try to fill that spot to make our downtown, to progress is where we'd like it to go.
Thank you. Any further discussion from any other councilors? Councilor Matthews-Kane.
Just as the Ward 3 councilor, I'm just asking everybody to support this. We really need to make something happen in that spot. I hope you can all support that.
Thank you. Further discussion. Would anyone care to read the resolution? Councilor Morganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the City Council, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Westfield to authorize a funding agreement with the Westfield Redevelopment Authority, whereas the City Council of the City of Westfield, Massachusetts strongly supports the Westfield Redevelopment Authority, hereinafter WRA, and its responsibility to carry out redevelopment activities. And whereas the City Council of the City of Westfield has established a funded account for fiscal year 2022 in the amount of $15,000 for the WRA to undertake a certain redevelopment project as defined as the Elm Street Urban Renewal Project. And whereas the WRA is a duly established redevelopment authority and has the power to enter into the funding agreement with the City of Westfield pursuant to the relevant provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 121B, Section 11. And whereas the WRA, in order to carry out its redevelopment activities, requires funding from the City of Westfield, and whereas the City of Westfield desires the WRA to move forward with the Elm Street Urban Renewal Project and is willing to fund the WRA as more particularly set forth in funding agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council and the City of Westfield hereby authorizes the mayor to enter into a funding agreement with the WRA.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews-Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandi.
Yes.
Okay, item passes 13-0. Item 21, Councilor Burns.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. On February 10th, LNO met in a 3-0 vote. We recommended approval of a resolution for the consent to encroachment agreement from the James Hardy Building Products Company.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. Councilor Burns for discussion.
Yeah, basically what this is, it's a consent to allow the Hardy Products Company to encroach on a easement that we have that the city owns at that time. It's two, what it is it's two storm drains, and basically gain permission to build over it for further expansion. That's in a nutshell.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Feggie.
Yeah, both the DPW and the engineering has approved of this plan. They feel that they will be able to maintain it through the two existing manholes that will not be covered up by the building.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Would anyone care to read the resolution? Councilor Feggie.
Mr. President, by title only.
Hang on one sec. Councilor Feggie.
I can read the resolution if you would prefer.
Okay. Councilor Burns, can you read the resolution?
By title only. Jump the gun there, Mr. President. Okay. A resolution approving agreement between the City of Westfield and James Hardy Building Products products. Yes. And that's the story.
Roll call, please, Madam City Clerk, quickly.
Burns,
Yes.
Figgy,
Yeah.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews-Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 13-0. Thank you, L&O. License Committee, Councilor Beltrandy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 22 is an application submitted by AmeriGas Rural Service, 216 Lockhouse Road, to amend their gas storage license from 36,000 gallons of propane to 66,000 gallons of propane. And on a 3-0 vote this evening, we voted to recommend a approval of this.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Beltrandy.
Really brief. They explained at the last meeting that this is kind of a technicality. They need that additional storage capacity for the trucks that are actually on the property that have propane in them. Fire department required it, so this is just technicality more than anything.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Asleep.
Not asleep. It's right there. I said no. Or yes, I said yes.
He was asleep. I remember what he said.
My computer froze.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blame it on an inanimate object.
Dickey. I can't hear.
Yes.
Okay. Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Item passes 13-0. Thank you, License Commission. Zoning, Planning, and Development, item 23, Councilor Flaherty.
Yes, thank you. ZPD met on the 16th and a 3-0 vote recommends transferring the petition for zoning amendments to allow tap rooms and similar accessory uses in Industrial A to L&O.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Flaherty.
Yeah, just briefly, the application has been amended. We voted as amended. Basically, we took out all the things that weren't related to a tap room and defined what a tap room was in the definition section of zoning. And it includes things that help people understand that there is a process. And then in permitted by right section of Industrial A, we just added tap rooms alone. So we took away a lot of the verbiage that was in there that was concerning to some councilors. We clarified it, made it pretty easy. The actual document's online on the chair. Councilor Figge is aware of it, and it's coming his way to L&O. That's what we want to do.
Any further discussion? Okay, so the motion is to move out of zoning, planning, and development and hand off to L&O.
As amended, yep.
As amended. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns,
Yes.
Figge,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Matthews Kane,
Yes.
Mello,
Yes.
Morganelli,
Yes.
Oniski,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Alley,
Yes.
Bean,
Yes.
Beltrandy.
Yes.
Item passes 13-0 over to L&O. Item 24, Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you. L&O met on the 16th, 3-0 vote, wants to withdraw items 24 and 26 as one vote.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Flaherty.
No, thank you. We don't need them.
Okay, so you're taking out which ones again? 24 and
24 and
26?
26 out with no action.
Okay, further discussion. Councilor Matthews Kane, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Mr. President. I had wanted to keep previously the sober living homes one in. I knew that Fitchburg and Worcester, I had read articles where the fire department were enforcing issues in sober living homes, and I thought it was a local ordinance. It turns out it's a state law that each fire department chooses what they're going to do with. So we can't have a local regulation on that. There's nothing we can do. It should be removed.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, I'd like to take these items one at a time. So let's just go through 24. So
all right.
Jumping around.
All right. I was trying to save you some time.
Well, thank you, Councilor Flaherty. You often do. So roll call, please, for item 24.
Burns?
Yes.
Figgy?
Yes.
Flaherty?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Matthews Kane?
Yes.
Mello?
Yes.
Morganelli?
Yes.
Oniski?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Alley?
Yes.
Bean?
Yes.
Beltrandi?
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 13-0. Item 25, Councilor Flaherty.
Yes, ZPD met on the 16th. A 3-0 vote wants to hold this item in committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Flaherty.
No.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please. Oh, Councilor Morganelli. Sorry, didn't see you at the bottom.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, just quickly, there's more to do on this. The planning board actually liked the draft that Mr. Vinsky had produced. It just makes home businesses it makes it more lenient to be a by right use, and makes the special permit for a home-based business kind of more focused. And we just need to do a little more work on it, talk to some more residents on it as well. So we'll be working on that in the next 6 weeks or so. We'll bring it out probably in one of the meetings in April.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns?
Yes.
Figgy?
Yes.
Flaherty?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Matthews Kane?
Yes.
Mello?
Yes.
Morganelli?
Yes.
Oniski?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Alley?
Yes.
Bean?
Yes.
Beltrandi?
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 13-0. Item 26, Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you. ZPD met on the 16th on 3-0 vote wants to remove this from committee without action.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Flaherty?
Yes, the ZPD had made a zoning amendment application and brought it to council. At the last meeting, council denied the application, so there's no sense in leaving this in committee.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns?
Yes.
Figgy?
Yes.
Flaherty?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Matthews Kane?
Yes.
Mello?
Yes.
Morganelli?
Yes.
Oniski?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Alley?
Yes.
Bean?
Yes.
Beltrandi?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Zoning, Planning, and Development. Unfinished business, Madam City Clerk.
There is nothing.
Okay. Motions, orders, or resolutions?
There are none.
There are none. Any announcements any councilor would like to make? Councilor Harris.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Burns?
Yes.
Figgy?
Yes.
Flaherty?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Matthews Kane?
Yes.
Mello?
Yes.
Morganelli?
Yes.
Oniski?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Alley?
Yes.
Bean?
Yes.
Beltrandi?
Mercifully, yes.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you, Madam City.